Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX-TV in San Francisco, and Russell Jackman. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. And since we're going to be getting into baseball soon, it's called Out of Left Field. That is our
Out of left field. Okay.
Out of left field. All right. Let's see. Let's give a little
So you're talking all about catchers, I would assume.
yeah. Okay, so this is just our little tidbit tease. What do you guys want to talk about? Obviously, we got to touch on the fact that poor Marvin Hagler, marvelous Marvin Hagler, died at age 66. Yep. I wonder if it has to do with, like a CTE type of situation. Have they said that?
They'll find out when they dig into his brain, I guess.
Are they going to do an autopsy?
An autopsy.
Yeah, I would imagine. Interesting guy. Marvelous. Yeah. Legally changed his name to Marvelous.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's good. So Marvin would have been his middle name then, right?
Yeah.
Probably had another middle name too.
An alias.
Yeah. Hey, how do you guys think March Madness is going to be without some well-known schools who didn't make it?
Well, people will still bet on it.
Yeah, but I mean for TV viewing and all that.
I think those that are fans of college basketball, those who certainly have strong ties or alums of schools that are in the tournament, they will be, seated close to watch what's going on. And then Mr. Jackman's right. I mean, it's a great betting vehicle. So,
or actually, it's the worst betting vehicle you could possibly put your money on.
Yeah, but the ones who are sick about it, they'll just if it moves, they'll bet on it. You know what I mean?
There's a 1 in 2.15 billion chance that you'll get your bracket correct all the way through.
That's all the way through. But
I've already filled my bracket out. Filled it out and turned it in.
All right, guys, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. So Marvin Hagler, Russell, you said you remembered a David Letterman interview?
Yeah, he was really hilarious on Letterman, and Letterman had a really great, rapport with him. And it sort of reminds me of when we were talking with Buddy Biancalana last week, that David Letterman used to be sort of that stopping point for a lot of people, it's a lot of sports names and celebrities. And it's because everybody watched Letterman at one point, especially if you were in college when Letterman was popular. It became sort of because there weren't, back then, if you want to go back far enough, ESPN was just barely starting.
Yeah.
And so you didn't have Pardon the Interruption. You didn't have these other interview shows. So your way of really getting to know athletes was to see how they performed on either Carson or Letterman.
I was going to say, I don't remember Johnny Carson having too many
not many
sports people.
Letterman was more into getting the sports celebrities than Carson.
Him being a sports fan himself.
Yeah.
Right. And Carson was more of the showbiz types, the big, established Vegas names and stuff like that, so it was, I always felt David Letterman, if you wanted to know about an athlete, you would watch David Letterman, and he really brought out a lot of great personalities. For me, I used to be such a huge fan of boxing growing up, and that's part of it was that you only had two ways to watch fighting in the ring. One was pro wrestling, and the other one was boxing. And now you have so many choices for people to watch combat, in the ring.
Okay, wait. So you have MMA.
Yes.
And boxing, still there. And what else? And wrestling. And what else?
Oh, there's karate. There's, judo exhibitions. There's, the Olympics. And trials. You can see college wrestling going on. ESPN2 has that stuff going all the time pretty much. And you have a trillion weight classes now. So, for every 3.5 ounces, you pretty much have another champion. For everyone, there are so many. Can you tell me who the world super middleweight champion is, or the flyweight champion is, or the
Nope. Couldn't tell you.
bantamweight champion is, or
and then what happens in weigh-in if you're just 2 pounds overweight? I mean,
they go outside and throw up a few times and come back in and get reweighed.
Exactly. There was a guy. In fact, it's funny when my wife was doing figure competition, we went down to San Diego or something, and they combined it with bodybuilding. So they had women bodybuilders, women fitness, women figure competition, and then men, because there's only so many people who do this, right? And there was this guy who was in the lightweight division. They had light, middle, and heavyweight for the guys, and he had got in these guys are like so precise. The max was like 156 pounds, and he came in at 155 and 12 ounces, right? When you do the weigh-in, anything you do after that's fine, right?
Right.
In 8 hours, he ended up drinking a bunch of water, having a bunch of chicken and all this stuff to try to bulk up. Even in that 8-hour period, he gained 25 pounds. Or no, 20 pounds.
Wow.
In 20 pounds.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just any little bit you can to kind of,
I've done that at a couple Vegas buffets.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, the thing I remember about Marvin Hagler, getting back to him, he was kind of like he was one of those guys that was kind of like the benchmark. He was kind of like he was one of those guys that just kind of set the standard. Boy, if you could get in against Marvin Hagler and do well, then that really kind of validates your career. And he took them all on. But that bout with Tommy Hearns in the 80s, and by the way, we all live here in Marin County, which happens to be the home of Barry Tompkins, who called 20 of his last 26 fights. He called that fight with Sugar Ray Leonard, who was retired at the time.
Yeah.
And it was just brutal. The call, the audio of it. I mean, they just beat each other up. And once it was over, you as a viewer, you almost felt exhausted. And then Leonard comes out of retirement. Leonard fights Hagler, and Leonard wins it by a decision. Could have gone either way.
Yeah.
And Hagler never fought again. And in fact, moved to Italy.
Oh, yeah.
Tried to start an acting career, which didn't pan out. But there was a fight that Hagler had with Roberto Duran. Again, Ray Leonard was retired. And after the bout, Duran goes over, puts his fist through the rope toward Sugar Ray Leonard and said, "You can beat this guy."
Huh.
And then that got in Leonard's head, and that marked his comeback to come back and eventually.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Boxing is just not the same these days.
You're right.
It just doesn't have the appeal.
Is Floyd Mayweather in the same weight division?
No, because Ray Leonard was a
no, not Ray Leonard. Hagler. I was thinking of Hagler versus Floyd Mayweather.
No, I think they were heavy. I think they were a weight class higher.
Mayweather.
Because Mayweather, he's kind of a little guy.
Oh, he's a little. Oh, okay. So Hagler. Because I was just wondering if we put those two together, what do you think? Who do you think would have won?
Well, I mean, it would have to be one of those things where one moves down and the one moves up. And
I still think Hagler would beat him. I think
in his prime.
The boxers of previous eras were, I think, a lot tougher than the boxers today. That's my general take.
And what do you think think's behind that? What's the reasoning?
15 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to go 15 rounds, man.
What do they do now? How many?
10.
12.
Or 12,
is it
sorry.
12?
12.
Yeah.
But some of them are 10.
Yeah, but if you think about it, in 10 rounds, man.
And I think the ring is smaller.
It is. It is smaller. And I think the gloves might be lighter as well.
Yeah.
What you mean nowadays?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but then I mean you think that would make it tougher then for these guys? I mean, these guys, they can't have a place to run. Lighter gloves means harder hitting. 10 rounds means you're going to get a lot
less
more
running going on.
That's what I mean.
Less running going on means that guys are not as tired out and they don't have to be in as good shape as you had to be when you had to go 15 rounds.
Well, true. Yeah, that's true. I was just thinking that it's a little bit – I think they wanted to make it a little bit more exciting because sometimes those rounds just go on and on and there's nothing going on.
I don't know, man. I just remember when Muhammad Ali was basically fighting every week on Wide World of Sports.
Like it. Didn't it seem like that?
You didn't have like 8-9 months between matches like they have now, or like years, it seems like, between heavyweight matches. And so those guys had to stay in shape because they knew they were going to fight like every week, or at worst every month, you know.
Keep those legs strong.
Yeah, and keep, you know, unfortunately let the CTE build up, you know.
Yeah.
They didn't know anything about that then, and you know, we know about that.
No,
now.
but they didn't know necessarily about CTE, but they knew about getting hit in the head
multiple times would not have a good effect.
Yeah, that's not going to be a good thing. All right, and when we come back, I do want to mention something about Myers-Leonard getting fined $50,000. The Bucks are keeping their foundation team together, and Michigan State Spartans have a new name. And I'll tell you what that is when we come back. All right, ready?
Okay.
Okay. Here's our first trivia question. Again, the theme is out of left field.
All catchers, yes.
Yeah, okay. This left fielder combined his services with Hall of Fame great Ernie Banks to make one of the biggest Cubs 1-2 punches in franchise history. Of course, this is before 2015. It's in 16 when the Cubs won. Who was this 1961 National League Rookie of the Year?
Oof.
All right, you'll know the name. All right, I wouldn't give you anything that's like too crazy. But again, here's our trivia question. This left fielder combined his services with Hall of Fame great Ernie Banks to make one of the biggest Cubs 1-2 punches in franchise history. Who was this 1961 National League Rookie of the Year? That's our trivia question. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. Stay with us. We are going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. First trivia question, talking about out of left field. This left fielder combined his services with Hall of Fame great Ernie Banks to make one of the Cubs' biggest Cubs 1-2 punches in franchise history. Who was this 1961 National League Rookie of the Year?
I'm drawing a blank.
Billy Williams?
Billy Williams. Very good. That is correct.
Wow, I just threw that one completely.
And that's before you were born. Didn't he end up as a first baseman?
I think so, yeah.
They all seem to do that once their legs go.
Kind of remember him more as a first baseman.
That's kind of what I would do too. Okay.
That was just a complete stab.
Yeah, well, I kind of figured I had to give you somebody at least you knew, right? And the next one's here. You'll know the names. Okay. So I want to bring up this thing about Myers-Leonard. If you remember, he was playing an online video game. He mentioned a Jewish slur word. He was fined $50,000. And the thing is, and let's assume he, on face fact, on its face, he said he did not even know what the word meant. Okay. Now, I mean, some people do. Everybody knows what the N-word means, but a lot of people might not know what this Jewish slur name, which, by the way, just from a history lesson, it came from World War II when.
Oh, hello.
No, that's mine.
Oh, it comes from World War II when the Nazis were gathering up all the Jews and basically telling them to sign their name, and they refused to do it. So they drew a circle. They're supposed to put an X, and in defiance, they drew a circle. And the word in German is Keikel for circle. And so anyway, Myers-Leonard uses this word, doesn't know what it means, and he's fined $50,000. Now, I'm kind of looking at this and thinking, if he honestly doesn't know that's a bad word, is it fair to? And again, the only reason you fine him is because of the what do they call it? When you take it is
fair to fine him, and you know why? Because you have a little thing on, and anyone who plays any kind of video game, there's a little thing that says mute that you can click.
No, but he didn't even know it was a bad word, though.
Right. So you know what? If you're an athlete, turn off the damn microphone while you're playing video games. Just do it. It's only going to get you in trouble.
He could have gotten fined for saying he thought the election was stolen by Biden. I mean, you could fine him for that, too, then. I mean, they'll fine you for anything. It's
you know what, though? When you're playing video games, there's no reason you have to have an open mic on. recording you with everything you say. And unless
Edward,
you can trust,
I don't think ignorance is an excuse, Edward. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I didn't know.
And again, my background's being Jewish, so you'd think that I would be really kind of bandstanding on this. I'm just thinking that.
But if we've already seen players get in trouble using the N-word and using.
Yeah, but that is so.
And look at the times that we're living in. I mean, it's 2021. I mean, it's. I mean, we're coming in the middle of the most sensitive times that there is for anybody saying or doing anything, and then we have things like this,
the phone,
that capture it, and then put it on.
Okay, so once he's been told, by the way, that's not a good word to use, and he apologizes because of it. And if he's being sincere, let's assume he's really being sincere, that he didn't know it was a bad word, and he apologized. Why do you have to fine him also? Why is there extra punishment?
Because of the forum and the format and where it took place. If you let that go, I don't know whether it was Twitch or whatever he was on. Yeah, it makes that company look like they're condoning that. It's a bad look for letting it go.
Okay,
but there's no reason that you have to have your mic on while you're playing a video game.
I mean, I hear that. I mean, why does anybody have a mic on then?
I don't. When I play Left 4 Dead 2, I turn my mic off. I do. And if I need to say something to somebody, I text it. I don't let because when you're playing a video game, you're going to get excited. You're going to say stuff like right off the top of your head.
Okay.
And it's not, in the NBA, these guys can say stuff to each other and it just sort of gets, mixed in with all that.
Well, like what happened with Jeremy Lin, someone used some kind of an Asian racial slurs, apparently. So what, like here, okay, you mentioned about texting. What if, that's almost worse if he would have texted it, because that's
right.
Like
then it's intentional.
Then it's on the
really had to think about it.
Yeah. And again, he still didn't know that it meant. You could find a whole bunch of words people don't know mean anything bad.
Yes. Have we ever said something like that on the show? We've been doing this for years now.
No, well, no, we've been pretty good. I did have this one attorney accidentally drop an F-bomb, but I was able to cut it off.
And an F-bomb is not singling out a particular racial type.
Well, true. No, you're absolutely right on that. Right. No, we've been pretty good. I guess because we know, the FCC is kind of, quote, watching, and we generally don't want to use those words anyway. Anything that's even close to being bad, we might just say, he's not a good person, or something.
Yeah, but this is a big country. And getting back to your original thought, we assume that everybody of the hundreds of millions that are in this country know right from wrong and know or know when you can say things and when you can't, or maybe what they're saying. But the fact is, it's been seen, it's been heard, and you just cannot.
Well, okay. So let me ask you, if someone uses the word redneck, right? We're not talking Native Americans. We're talking about
sure.
Uneducated type. Everyone knows what a redneck is. Okay, that's or someone says, "Man, that guy's white trash," right? Okay. That's kind of not very nice to white people.
If you say redneck, if you say white trash, and you direct it at somebody, then you're responsible for what you say.
True.
But redneck and white trash is how you act. Okay, you can change how you act. You take a redneck or
that's true.
White trash. You put them in a suit. People don't think they're white trash anymore.
No, you're right. You're right.
Take someone who's Jewish and put them in a suit. They're still Jewish.
Yeah.
So
that's true. That's a good point.
Change those things about somebody, and when you're making fun or you're putting someone down because of something that they cannot change, no matter what they do, that's unfair.
Well, let me ask you: would they have fined, let's say, a basketball player who said to another basketball player, "Yeah, that guy was just white trash," or "That guy's just a redneck"? Would you think that would be a finable type of, because you're directing it at the person, you're not doing an entire race or anything, but you're still directing.
How do you know it hasn't been said during the course of a game, or maybe sitting on the bench while you're out of the game?
Karl Malone called himself a black redneck. Karl Malone used to be proud in saying that, you know, he drove a truck and he had a farm and he called himself a black redneck. So it's not necessarily a racial term, you know.
Okay. Well, and you know what's so funny is if you go back to the 1800s, most of the cowboys were black. You never know. No one ever knows that unless you go back into your history.
Right.
But, I was just kind of curious as to, you know, when you insult somebody, obviously stuff goes on the bench that people can't hear. But if someone, let's say, was interviewing somebody on, you know, with a mic right after a game and made a comment, do you think
there are white people that are proud to be called rednecks, but I don't know any Jewish person that's proud to be called, you know, the K word.
The K word, yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're going to
right.
But nobody wants to be called white trash, though. Right? I mean, no one's going to be proud to say white trash.
But how do you know?
Do you remember the song "Dirty White Boy"?
Never heard of it.
From the 70s by Foreigner? No, you'll have
Foreigner saying that?
Yes.
I'd have to go back in my Foreigner 4 day. You know,
yeah.
Would it come off Foreigner 4, the album?
Yeah, no, it's supposed to be different one. That. It was
okay, that's their most famous. Okay, well, I don't want to belabor it. I just was kind of getting your guys' take on that. And then the Bucks keeping their foundation together. Holy smokes, pretty good. Instead of just taking a winning team and starting to break them up, they're keeping the core together.
Well, they have to. I mean, Giannis, Antetokounmpo, he's the drawing card. Yeah, I mean, he's why they got that.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I mean the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, the Buccaneers.
What news happened?
BUCS, not BUCKS.
Yes, yes.
I mean, we are in the basketball season, so I kind of.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
I'm just coming off covering a couple of Warriors games, so that's where my head is.
My fault. The same thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should.
But you know, Tom Brady, you know, may be 60 by the time they're done with him. My gosh.
I guess he just eats really healthy.
4-year contract?
Is that what it is, a 4-year? I know Gronk did just a 1-year, $10 million one.
Well, they extended Brady's deal, and so now he's paid through the 2022 season. So,
and he'll be what, 46?
I believe 43, 44, something like that.
But if the contract went all the way through, he'd be 46.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, and he might well do it and get another two or three Super Bowls in the meantime.
Hey, you just keep healthy. You know, no one's ever accused him of being on steroids, but he's probably just eats really healthy and
he does
takes care of himself, you know, and tries to keep the stress level down, which I don't know how you do that with all that
but I
noise
also,
around you.
You know, wanted to point out what an amazing defense Tampa Bay has put together.
Yeah, they did.
The fact that they were able to
shut
stop
down the Chiefs.
Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
All on the road.
Yeah.
On the road.
All right, guys. Second trivia question, talking about out of left field. Although playing more games at first base and third base than left field, he was inducted at position 7, i.e. left field. He was the 1969 MVP and hit over 550 home runs. Who was this gentleman? All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Russell Jackman and Vern Glenn. Second trivia question. Although playing more games at first base and third base than left field, he was inducted basically as a left fielder. He was the 1969 MVP, and he hit over 550 home runs. Who was this guy? And here's the hint. The Major League Baseball emblem is based on him. So, you know, Jerry West for the NBA?
Oh, wow.
Right. Ooh.
This is for the Major League Baseball. You couldn't tell by just looking at that, you know, cartoon character of someone hitting. But apparently it was
just trying to go off the MVP.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you the team, and then you'll give it to me right away. Minnesota Twins. Who do you think? Of?
Harmon Killebrew.
Harmon Killebrew. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. That comes from Larry David. I understand.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Larry David.
Okay. All right. So now the last thing I got here. Okay. So get this. It's sort of official, but sort of not official. The Michigan State Spartans, right? They will now be called MSU Spartans presented by Rocket Mortgage.
They went and got a sponsor.
They got a sponsor, and so they have
That's awful.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to get
I
all
haven't
those.
gotten over the Los Angeles Anaheim Angel thing. I haven't gotten over that. The
yeah,
Angels of
I don't know why it
Anaheim.
just isn't the Anaheim Angels. They play out of Anaheim, you know.
Now they're the LA Angels of Anaheim, but that at least is descriptive of where they're from. Having teams names be tied in with the sponsors, I think, is a really bad.
That one's kind of ridiculous. In fact, the Los Angeles Angels, that's what they were originally called, weren't they, Vern?
They were.
California Angels.
They were the Los Angeles Angels, and then they were.
And they played at the Coliseum.
Yeah. Then they were the California Angels, and then back to and then the Anaheim Angels.
Gene Autry's team, the Singing Cowboy.
Yeah,
that's right.
But I think what gets bad is that you start selling, your names out to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
And then when that highest bidder, decides to pull the sponsorship. I remember when fill in the name park at both at Candlestick.
Okay, in fact, that was going to be my next thing. This is not necessarily.
It's the whole naming rights thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, and if I remember correctly, Candlestick Park changed to this. This was the first time in history that a baseball,
when it was Monster?
that a sponsor basically got to name the park. Do you remember the company?
Monster.
No, it's before then.
Oh wait, is this when they were Webvan? Not Webvan.
No.
Pac Bell?
No, before that.
I'm thinking of the
no, you're thinking of, it's Candlestick Park. Immediately a sponsor comes in, changes it to get, to do the naming rights and all that. And then eventually at like Minute Maid Park and all that. You ready?
Yeah.
3Com.
Oh, 3Com.
3Com Park.
Right.
Remember that?
That was the baseball stadium that did that. And that's the problem. Then do you remember when Arco Arena in Sacramento was owned by Power Balance, which was a totally fraudulent company that made these those like crazy magnetic bracelets that you wear.
Oh yeah.
And it was a total fraud. And so you had a company, that was basically had no right to publicize itself, being talked about every week, multiple times a week, when they would mention the Kings. And
or how about Enron Field?
Yeah, exactly. You don't always want to be remembered for a company that, went belly up. I also remember my first time at AT&T / Pac Bell / Oracle when Webvan was a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
And they had everywhere. They had Webvan logos on all the cup holders that you had in the stadium and all of that stuff. And it, becomes embarrassing when that company goes belly up. And, a part of the reason why they went belly up is that they spent all the shareholders' money on naming rights. And
it was interesting because Webvan, I mean, they kind of have, it's not called Webvan now, but they kind of have that with like Safeway delivery.
They were way
and all
ahead
that.
of it, but they were, but now, it's not, it was its own company for delivery instead of, a company that did other things and did delivery as well, or Safeway having their own delivery service built in. It was, it was DoorDash before DoorDash.
Exactly. So that was all the stuff I had on my list. What you guys had a couple things you said?
We're in the by the time this show airs, we'll be at the end of the free agency period for the NFL. The new year starts in just a few days, and a lot of these teams are re-signing guys, and then some guys are switching places. Like Hunter Henry of the Chargers is now with the New England Patriots as they're trying to find yet another great tight end. The 49ers, they're trying their best to keep their own. And who knows, by the time this show airs, maybe Trent Williams re-signs with the 49ers. He was their number one priority in the offseason at left tackle. And as we record this show, it has not happened yet. But these are times where, the NFL is trying to get back to the business of normal operations. And
as all these guys are getting signed, the window for Winston gets smaller and smaller because they're, teams are committing to their free agents and they're not going to have the cap room and the flexibility.
Wait, you talking about Jameis Winston?
I'm saying,
Didn't he already sign?
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson. Yeah.
Deshaun
Yeah. Because and then Ryan Fitzpatrick just joined the Washington football team. Which when are they going to name that
Bill
team?
doesn't have a name yet. Yeah. They start, and a bunch of other teams are going to have to start thinking about their name change, like the
Chiefs.
Cleveland Indians.
Yeah. Well, they said I think a year from now.
And in the case of Deshaun Watson, he's not a free agent. He belongs to the Houston Texans. So if you're the Texans, you're like, well, what are you talking about? We have a starting quarterback.
Yeah, but if he's not going to be too happy, I mean, yeah, he'll still play well because he wants to keep his elevation of. He's got
to keep his stock up.
Yeah,
that didn't work for James Harden.
And just imagine he can't. He just can't go out there and dog it. What does that say about him to the rest of the league?
No, that's true. Yeah,
it didn't seem to bother the Brooklyn Nets, who picked up James Harden when James Harden was a complete jerk to Houston and still had 3 years left on his contract, and would go to strip clubs and so forth to make it impossible for them to keep him and save face. So, and I know that that Deshaun isn't that same kind of guy, but
he hasn't played long enough.
Yeah,
but he's got the cachet to do it. He's we've seen in every instance when a player doesn't want to be on a team, you name it. Going back to Anthony Davis, saying that he wouldn't play for New Orleans. Or,
John Elway not playing for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, John Elway and the players rule the league, and when they say they don't want to play, eventually he's got to get dealt. But the window is really closing for teams to fit him into their salary room if they're signing all these other players up.
Yeah, and sitting out a whole year. Didn't Le'Veon Bell do that?
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell did that, and he got traded. I mean, it happens.
And he never was the same.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't the same, but he also got traded to the Jets. So that could do in anybody.
Hey, don't sleep on the New York Jets. I think I will. I think the Jets. Hey, I think the Jets are in a position where.
No, this year they'll.
Where they, I think they're just going to be a better football team. At least on paper, they're making all the right moves.
They may not be
helped by the fact that the Patriots have created a power vacuum in that division. The Patriots were so dominant for so many years.
What about the Bills now?
Yeah, I think the Bills are the best team in that division. I'm not putting my money on the Jets. They're just so. Saleh's a good coach, but it's going to take 2 or 3 years to get that team, to rectify itself and make them, any kind of a contender.
There it is. It's recorded. It's on the record, Edward. So next season, when the Jets slide in as a wild card team, find this soundbite and play it.
Right. and when they're 2-14,
you're gonna play the soundbite again.
If they're 2-14, find the soundbite, play it, and Mr. Jackman can do a victory lap.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
I like my odds better, by the way, given history.
Hey, back to basketball for a minute. We got some pretty powerhouse teams. You got the Lakers, and you got the Jazz, and you got Brooklyn. I mean, who do you think will be in the Final Four? We'll call it.
It's early to call it. Still, we just
it's way too early to call it.
Okay, fair enough.
But speaking of Final Four, I did make my bracket picks for the NCAA tournament. Now, granted, anything can happen. COVID could strike any team, and he'd be out. But I do have Gonzaga beating Illinois in the championship game.
Wait a minute. What about Virginia? That's your alma mater.
I got them with one win. I got them one, and then I have them. Then I have them losing next round.
Okay. And do you?
Let me try and pull up my bracket here.
Do you pick who they'll be beaten by?
Yes, I do. Yes.
And who do you think will beat them?
Hang on. Let's see if I can pull this baby up here.
Pull that baby up, and you'll like my last question. I think you'll get the last trivia question. which we're going to ask in just about a minute.
All right.
Now, do you is this a betting thing? Do you get, what do you win if
this is the CBS NCAA tournament bracket that they require myself and the sports department to participate in, and then we're supposed to encourage others out there to do the same.
And do you actually like spend a lot of time going over it, or do you just throw the darts at it and just go whatever, what am I on?
Well, in this COVID year, I didn't spend too much time, pacing back and forth, scratching my head, penciling it in, erasing it, throwing it in. Not as much as I normally would do in a regular NCAA tournament year. So the short answer to your question, no, I did not spend too much time.
And this is just for bragging rights, I assume.
This is and then it kind of goes national, and they stack how you're doing against the rest of the country. So,
oh, that's fun. Okay, hey guys, here's our last trivia question. We're talking out of left field. This Hall of Famer played 4 times more games in right field, but was inducted as a left fielder. He played for 22 seasons, mostly with the Padres and Yankees. 12 times he was selected to the All-Star game and won a Gold Glove 7 times. Always smiling, who was...
Oh, I know who this is.
Yeah, who was it who hit 465 career home runs? Now, did you get this because I said always smiling?
No,
come on.
I had a hunch when you started, yeah.
I mean, because there aren't too many not too many players played well for the Padres, unfortunately.
But this guy did.
This guy did, yes. And also, see, the thing is, if I didn't mention anything about the Yankees, you might think, oh, maybe it's Tony Gwynn.
That would have been my first choice.
Yeah. No,
sir,
Bob. All right.
It's not Tony Gwynn. No.
Okay, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments. All right. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. This Hall of Famer played 4 times more games in right field, but was inducted as a left fielder. He played for 22 seasons, mostly with the Padres and Yankees. 12 times he was selected to the All-Star game and won a Gold Glove 7 times. Always smiling. Who was this that hit 465 home runs?
Dave Winfield.
No, you can definitely think of him way more as a Yankee than I do as a Padre.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who else did he play for? Those are the only 2 teams.
He went to University of Minnesota and then started with the Padres. I thought he started Padres and ended as a Yankee.
That's what I thought. Because I'm thinking those are the only 2 teams I know of that he played for. Okay. All right. Are you guys ready for? Go ahead.
By the way, I have Virginia losing in the round of 16 to Gonzaga, which had pounded them earlier in the year.
Okay. Well, at least you have them losing to the number 1 team. Projected.
Top seed. And
no disgrace there.
Okay. Are you guys ready for a few more puns / thoughts for the day? Hold on. One of them is not a pun. One of them is not a pun. Okay. I won't
stop you just because we're not ready for it.
Okay.
Last week's his was so good, I posted him on Facebook.
There you go. I like that. Okay. Yeah. I once worked at a cheap pizza shop just to get by. I needed the dough. Okay.
Yeah, but you got fired for cutting corners.
There you go. Good for that. Okay. All right, Mr. Jagger. That was good. And learn to judge your moves by their long-term effects on people. That's not a pun. That's actually a good thought for the day. And lastly, what did the pig say to her lover? Remember that song by Elton John? Don't go baking my heart.
Oh.
Don't go baking my heart.
I'm sorry. These are so bad they're funny. Okay, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios, America.
So long. Okay.